All right, I'm back with another video. I know Nick's on, no one's watching this, but I'm just gonna check out more of this UBI stuff and what's going on with technology because I just watched a Gerald Celente video. I'm back with another video. I know Nick's on, and he's kind of confirming what I was talking about how there's going to be a kind of like a bust of all this like low level consumer AI technology stuff. Click on this video so you can see the name. I put the link in the description too, so you can just click on it. But it's Celente's economy is going to crash after AI bust, or after AI goes bust. And he's talking about similar thing that I was saying in the last video, that, eventually this stuff's going to run out or run its course, more or less, the kind of like cycle of these apps. Now, let me put it this way for you. It was a similar thing during the .com bubble. Now, yes, it's going to go bust in a certain sense, but we're still on the internet right now. We're still using certain programs and stuff that people were even using back then. And so, here's a good example. Like, there was like pets.com and then petsforyou.com and like getyourdogshere.com, and only pets.com survived the .com bubble. There was like 400 different porn sites and only Pornhub survived, before we had MySpace and a bunch of other, like AOL Messenger and a bunch of other different messaging apps and different apps that you could like post. And it was like only Facebook survived, right? And you start to notice that a lot of the companies that survive have the backing of the government, right? Like Google, Eric Schmidt, which was just in that article in the CFR, they were talking about him. He was one of the founders of Google with Sergey Brin. And Sergey Brin was the actual like brains behind developing the algorithms and stuff, because he was like a 15-year-old Russian genius. But Eric Schmidt came out of like the corporate business world. He worked for like Sun Manufacturing for a while and stuff like that. And so he came out of like the corporate managerial world. And he was kind of like the manager, and Sergey Brin was the like brains behind the algorithmic stuff. And so what we're going to see is a consolidation of all of these like AI technologies and techniques, and the different services are going to basically monopolize and conglomerate into one central thing. Okay, so now let's look at what Grok has to say about the amount of jobs that will be lost just this year from automation. And like, it would be great if we could have stopped this, when Alex Jones was screaming about it 20 years ago. And we were sharing links with people, and people were literally making fun of us to the point where we couldn't even show our faces at like parties and stuff, because people literally thought that we were so gullible that I remember showing up at parties and people would be like, "Hey, do you believe this? Do you believe this? Do you believe this?" Like, some guy told me that he was going to be raising llamas, but llamas were really hard to reproduce because their testicles were swirled. And he really thought that I would believe that, because they really thought that what Alex Jones was saying was crazy. They really did. And that's why I was like on some like that guy in Lawnmower Man 2, where I was like, I just got to go live in the woods now, because it's like the robots, Terminator 2 is about to happen, and I'm not like prepared for that. Right? And it's like, this stuff is just inevitable. It's like the Republicans and the old school conservatives, they're kind of in denial that this stuff is coming. And, here, let's see what Elon Musk has to say about it, right? Because people are questioning, is he for it or not? I mean, this article was written on the 21st of November of 2025. So, let's see what he has to say, or this article has to say. Tech billionaire Elon Musk told attendees at a U.S.-Saudi investment forum that artificial intelligence and robots will make currency irrelevant. reported Business Insider. Speaking Monday alongside NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, Musk described a future where paid work becomes a choice instead of a requirement. He drew a parallel to backyard vegetable gardens. People put in extra effort to grow food at home, even though stores sell it more easily simply because they find it satisfying. And like I've said that before too, that, and it's like a good example of something like that is Elon Musk, because he could retire at any moment now. And he never has to work again, but he still does work. So there is some truth to what he's saying there. Okay. My big concern with any type of universal basic income is the possible control from the government or whoever's giving out these benefits. That's really the main concern, I think, that conservatives and Republicans and libertarians have about these type of systems, is that if they're just giving out the money and you need that money because everything's too expensive if you don't have that money, and then you're not doing something that they like, and then they want to cut off the money or restrict your money or monitor your money in some way, like a social credit thing, then, I mean, so far with X, I mean, Musk has been about 95% consistent. I mean, some people I think are still banned. I'm not sure. I didn't really check into that yet, but that's for another video. Okay. So Musk told those at the forum that employment would turn into something resembling hobbies or recreation, suggesting Musk agrees with Pete Buttigieg public nonpartisan comments about instituting an AI dividend. See, an AI dividend sounds better because that's more like what they have going on in like Monaco, where everybody just gets a portion of all the like money that they make in the casinos paid to them, and they basically don't have to pay any taxes at all. And sometimes they actually will get money if the casinos make that much money. So that makes more sense. I mean, that's what they should have really done with the internet in the first place, because like it says here, citizens to receive some social benefit from the work replaced by AI as a result of being built in large part through government investments in infrastructure. And that's exactly how when DARPA made the internet, they were using government investments, which means taxpayer money, but nobody really got paid directly dividends for the internet existing. But so I don't know if they're going to do the same thing with this. And then they're kind of like taking shots at Elon, saying, well, he hasn't really finished all his other stuff yet, so why is he doing all that? They're talking about how he was saying this on Rogan. So, okay. So you've got these two, opinions. Like Gerald Celente, he monitors the markets very well, and he knows that, eventually the AI thing's going to go bust. But what bust means in this context isn't the same as usual. It's like more like the dot-com bubble, where bust means 99.9% of the companies competing for space are not going to exist after the bubble pops. And the ones that do exist are going to be extremely powerful, extremely monopolistic, and have like almost complete control, like Google and Amazon, Facebook, companies like that, right? That's basically what we're looking at. And then Elon Musk is saying that he wants to give out universal income. I don't know. We need to get like serious like charts and details about this stuff, not just like, oh, well, we're going to give out the UBI, AI dividends. I mean, we need to see some like, war games of this stuff. We need to see what's going to happen 5 years down the road, 10 years down, some projections of what's going to happen 10 years down the road when you implement this, what's going to happen 15 years down the road. What do you guys think is going to happen? Not just say, oh, well, it's going to be better right now. And we have to do it because basically we're taking all the jobs away, right? See, look right here. Already 48,000 to 78,000 jobs so far, right? So that's getting close to like 100,000 jobs in tech, right? Entry 2 white collar. Okay, so it's about 0.05 displacement, but that's just this year. Okay. If they're saying it will resolve, I'm not buying that. I mean, it's saying by the end of 2025, 60,000 to 100,000 workers could be replaced by AI. By 2030, AI could automate 30% of US work hours, affecting 45 to 60 million jobs. But this translates to 12 to 45 million displacements after accounting for task level changes, not full job loss. So that basically means now you're repairing the robot that's doing your job, or you're monitoring the robots that are doing your job, or something like that. Which, I mean, that could actually be a good job, but you see, that's like taking a job that 10 people would have had and then narrowing it down to a job that only one person's going to have now. Oh, look who's there. Goldman Sachs, right? Globally, 300 million job loss, potentially 30 to 40 million jobs by 2030, right? By Agenda 2030. So what is that? Net impact time frame. All right. So by 2030, wages up times 2 in AI exposed sectors, 70% skill change. What the F does that mean? Okay, projected. Oh, because of all the job losses, then. Oh, 70% skills change. So that means basically 70% of people are going to go from working to monitoring the robot that does their job. So by 2030, we're looking at a possible 30 to 40 million jobs displaced. That's a lot. Okay. And then, like I said, Elon Musk is saying that we're going to need UBI, so he's going to need to really break down how that's going to work, how we're going to get it, how it's not going to control us, how we're going to be able to still move freely around and trade freely with people without being controlled, because I'm not hearing a lot of that from these type of people. And like I'm saying, I'm giving him a little bit of credit because of how he's running X right now, and it's, like I said, it's like 95% free. So we'll give him that for now. And there's this too, that it is going to, a lot of these companies are going to go bust. Okay, so I've got this thing. I found the map where they're going to do the rewilding. It's called a rewilding map. I couldn't find the actual website where it came from. You can see that this one's obviously like very old. It's like, looks like it's copyright 1997. But if you look at a US like density map, you can see it's very similar. Like this, like the population density is mostly on the East Coast, a little bit over here, and then mostly in like Southern California, right? And then you see this rewilding map. It's very similar. Where if you look, like most of the population is on this East Coast area, and then there's some population there. You can see some, like, it's kind of fuzzy, but there is blue right there. Like on this side, there's more blue over here, and there's some blue right there, and then down here there's blue. So it's like these are all areas where there's going to be people living in the blue areas, like where it's blue. And then you see that, and then you see this map, and it's like pretty much exactly the same. And that's why there's not a lot of people living in these areas. So it's like, as far as, you know, either moving or building, like having more space for population, it seems like there's still some space. Right. So I don't see why they would need to do some like complete totalitarian like depopulation stuff at this point. And I mean, Elon Musk seems to be pro-human. I mean, he has a lot of children and stuff, but that doesn't really mean anything specifically. Um, so yeah, if we're looking at, you know, possible 30% of job loss affecting 40 to 60 million jobs in the US by 2030, then people are going to have to like seriously ask, you know, the question, do you just want to keep crushing people just because, you know, the fake money thing and all this other stuff, and you got some cool job where you get a bunch of fake money and other people don't have a cool job where they get a bunch of fake money, so you get to live and everybody else, like, or is it going more towards this, like where basically everybody's going to get laid off or reduced hours, and they're just going to be manning an AI, basically, or manning a robot or something like that, and then getting. I think that going for the healthcare and housing thing first is probably going to be the best option. Like getting everybody healthcare first. If you're just going to give out money, then just get everybody healthcare and then, you know, work on the housing stuff. I mean, I would even say, just in a more libertarian sense, you know, there's so many of these like either abandoned houses or whatever types of houses, really distressed houses. They just need to let people just start renovating them. You know, no one's going to buy it. You know, it's like in a dumpy neighborhood, nowhere, you know, they need to just start letting people just, you know, kind of almost like in the gold rush when people are moving west, just let people claim land and just be like, okay, look, this house is a dump. No one's buying it. I'm going to fix it up. But, you know, they're not going to fix it up, buy a dump for an extremely high price and then fix it up. So instead of like giving out money or printing money or whatever they're planning on doing things like that. So actually, I'm going to end this video here, and then I'm actually going to come back and do a video on distributism, because I think that idea is actually could be applicable here. So I'm just going to end this real quick, and then I'm going to start up the distributism video. All right, I'll be right back. So peace, but not really.